This is my term project. It basically answers the question, how can we make learning interesting, learning fun for studying coding? Here we have our login page. We're prompted to enter a name. I'll enter my name, Dennis. If the player doesn't want to play by itself, by him or herself, they can opt in to choose AI players to play alongside with it. They could have some competition. We'll select 5 AI players. The names are taken randomly from a list. We'll say we want 2 questions, right? A question is taken randomly from a set of a question bank. Right now we have the is palindromic number question. Okay, here's some of the things that we want to pay attention to. On the left-hand side of our screen, we'll have the title of the question, we'll have the week number, we'll have an explanation, right? On the bottom left side of the screen, we'll have the seconds remaining, and we'll have our current leaderboard with scores and players. Right here, this is our text box. We can write anything. This is the place we write our code in, right? The program automatically writes the first line, writes the function name in accordance with the test cases. Now, this text box is smart because it knows that my line has finished with a colon. It's just going to tab me in. If I finish it again with a colon, it's going to tab me in once more. So let's write our code. Let's be kind of like cheeky about it and say s is equal to string of absolute value of n, because we might have negative numbers, and we'll return if s is equal to its reversed form. I can run my code. And when I run it, it's going to test against several test cases, and the program will let me know which of those test cases I've passed and which of them I've failed. If I'm done, I can press submit. And the game will now lock all my keystrokes and mouse presses because I'm not playing single player. If I was single player, the program would just pass to the next question because I'm done. But because there are multiple players, it's just going to freeze me and allow those other students to complete until the seconds remaining has elapsed. Now the seconds remaining has elapsed. Yeah, the screen is correct. I've done the question. Here's the scoreboard. Okay, I've got 329. Sedef has got more points than me. Here's another question. Now, let's just allocate this time to explain the AI properties and the text box a little bit more. So how AI works is whenever an AI player is generated, I assign them a random intelligence quotient based on a random distribution. So the mean IQ will be 100 per se, and the standard deviation will be 200. What this will allow me to do is there could be some genius players who like solve all of the questions correctly, but in the majority of players that we're gonna select, they are quite on a similar level than us, so the competition will be not too fierce. And the scores the AI players receive, the range of scores they can receive, and the possibility of them answering the question correctly depend on their IQ coefficient, which is extremely cool. So as you can see here, the AI players don't get the same score. They all have different scores because their IQ coefficients are different. Okay, let's focus on the text box properties. I have a cursor. I can move left, I can move up. The cursor has boundary limits, so it doesn't go way off the screen. The enter button works. The delete works, right? Tab works. Deletion works, right? If I press a colon, it's gonna automatically tab me in. My home button works. My end button works. It's as close you can get to VS Code. And commenting works, right? So because we've opted in for 2 questions, we're basically done at this point. We've done this question incorrectly, obviously. We have our scoreboard, no points this round, and we have our podium. So as the program terminates, the last page it will show is the top 3 players, the podium per se, their scores, how many questions they've done correctly, and this is just a cool way of ending with it. Right, so this is my project. Thank you for joining me.